Hold everything. Do you need to upgrade before selling?
Well, let's talk about this.
We better find out. Well, welcome back to the channel. I'm Terry Pasquarelli, MVP Realty.
I'm Rich Pasquarelli at MVP Realty.
And we're going to talk about whether you should consider upgrading before you sell. And we better define what we're talking about in terms of upgrading.
Really?
Absolutely. So we were going through one of our realtor magazines, and they periodically they will publish a survey. And this was a survey of homeowners who were looking to sell. It came from Realtor Magazine and Cinch Home Services, and they surveyed homeowners about whether or not they would upgrade and improve their appliances in particular, or systems, I think, because when you see what's in there, to me, it's more than appliances.
Agree.
Before they sell. Now, what I don't know is how big the survey size was. They don't mention that in the overview that we got, but it did say, interestingly, that a full 50% of people who are looking to sell their home are considering upgrading their appliances before they put their home on the market to try to increase its value to a buyer. So let's talk a little bit about what these homeowners said they would prioritize in terms of appliances or systems that they would upgrade.
Right, and also what buyers would look for and how they would prioritize.
That's really important, and that's where we can add some insight from the questions we get asked every day.
Sure.
And those are some big considerations to buyers when they're especially getting down to the final choices between the last few homes that they think they'll like.
Right.
These are some of the things that can kind of create separation between their best choice and maybe a runner-up choice that doesn't get the offer.
And this really starts to get more important now since there's more inventory on the market. There's more selection for buyers to look at. So it's not like it was a few months ago.
Right, or last year.
You need to really be able to put your best foot forward when you're out there selling.
And I think that's what these homeowners in the survey are thinking about. What puts them in the best position to get increased value? And to the point you're making, it's not even just increased value, but perhaps getting the additional traffic or the opportunity to review offers rather than sitting on the market longer, which just costs you money.
Right.
So first one up is kind of a big one. It's the air conditioner. Now, this is bigger than an appliance in my mind, but I get what they're saying. It's a big system, and it's a big deal if the air conditioner appears to be really old.
Right. If it is old and you know that it's been, as a seller, you know that it's been having some issues in the past, you probably should have replaced it for yourself. But if now you're getting to the point where you want to sell the house, you may want to look into getting that replaced. So.
That's right. And I think the other thing that's helpful to be able to convey to people is that you've had your air conditioner serviced routinely. From an inspection perspective, if the air conditioner is older but working, it's not a major defect. And I think that's something that is confusing to buyers as they come into Florida. They may think that based on the age, they can sort of demand that the seller replace it. If in fact it is working well, and to specifications, that's not a major defect in our contracts.
And it's not a defective, appliance, so to speak.
But it's still an impression that it leaves on a buyer who may just say, well, given all that, I'm going to go look at something else. And so having a preventive maintenance schedule that you can document, and if it's appropriate, having decided to upgrade that in advance, and could definitely add to the perception of value in that home.
An inspector is going to look at the manufacture date, and maybe even you going in on your first showing, you may want to look at that as well. You look at the manufacture date, and you know that when you start getting around the 15-year mark, that's really outlived its expected lifespan. So buyers are going to look at that, and they're going to consider that in their offer.
So maybe not surprising that that's the number one item listed in this survey. But it's certainly not the only one. And the next one kind of turns its attention to what might be on my mind and is on the mind of a lot of our buyers, which is what's going on in the kitchen. And so item number 2, The dishwasher.
Right. The kitchen's the first stop, and on any showing is in that kitchen to take a look. And of course, they're going to look at the appliances. Are they, old and dated and avocado and, yeah.
Do they match
Do they even match? Absolutely. Sure.
So if you've got like that nice stainless steel fridge, but you still have that old looking dishwasher, that's maybe something that's going to not necessarily add to the perception of modern, ready to go.
Right.
I can just see myself moving in from a buyer's perspective. The other thing that's interesting about the dishwasher, and maybe the reason it's next on the list, is it's not a really expensive appliance to upgrade.
That's right. It's one of the least expensive to upgrade.
Yeah, it's easy to get it installed, right? It's not a sort of a major project in your kitchen.
Right.
But if you open the dishwasher, which buyers do, and they see yellowed or stained or really outdated even interior configurations, I don't know that they're always impressed and thinking about wanting to put their family's dishes in and out of that appliance.
Sure. Sometimes the racks are the plastic coating on the racks have been chipped, and now you're starting to get rust, and the buyers know they're going to have to replace that. So they are doing that before you put the house on the market. You don't have to get the biggest, best one out there. And depending upon the house that you're selling, is it a small condo or is it a large estate home? Those are the types of things that you need to consider.
Right. It should be appropriate to the sort of overall property.
Right.
But it is one that if you're thinking of selling, go take another look at your dishwasher. It might be a real easy fix and an upgrade in the impression that your kitchen gives.
Yep.
So I get why that one was number 2 on the list. The third one is often one that we get asked about by buyers. But again, to me, it's more in that it's a big system, a home system thing more than an appliance.
Right.
It's the water heater.
Sure.
Water heater. And so similar to air conditioner, you can open the mechanical closets and see usually a manufacture date most times. Right on the piece of equipment. And people go looking. They're looking for
they
that.
do. And of course, the water heater has its lifespan. And now if you're in a condo, a lot of times condos will require you to replace water heaters on a periodic basis, because even though they're working fine, because they don't want to have to inform the people down below that your water heater sprung a leak over the summer, and now your whole area is a moldy mess.
Damaged.
So they are requiring people to change those. So that's one of the things that you may be doing anyway as a seller, but as a buyer, they're looking at it, and there's also maintenance to go along with water heaters. A lot of times people don't realize. I know myself. I flush out my water heater once a year. Just to get that sediment off the bottom of the tank, so that it will help give the tank a longer life, and it's not going to rust out as fast. And there's also, even on the hot water on demand gas systems, they also require maintenance. So people are going to be looking at that. And so as you're living there, you should be, getting your appliances maintained and looked at periodically.
Yeah, and realize that buyers are going to open those doors and check out those appliances and systems before they think about whether they want to make an offer. And if everything is really old, like the air conditioner and the water heater, and it may even look like it's not in the greatest state of repair, they wonder what else, right? It raises that kind of question about, no, if this hasn't been maintained, is there something I can't see that should give me, a question?
And they could, if you have to replace all of these items, I mean, you could be looking at a $20,000 price tag to replace everything. So, as you go, you're living in a house, enjoy it, replace it as you need it. But when buyers are looking at that, they're saying, oh, do I have to replace all these things? But if it looks good and it's functional, they're going to overlook that.
Right, because they're thinking about the price they're going to offer you, and possibly, to your point, thinking about an immediate set of bills that they have behind that, additional out of pocket, and they have to factor that into their overall budget.
Right.
And so if these can be as up to date and in great working order as possible, it removes possible objections.
Absolutely.
And lets a buyer think that, okay, it's a well-maintained property. I can see myself again sort of bringing my stuff, moving right in. And I don't have a project list immediately.
That's right.
Right? So that's a big one. Now, the fourth one on the list, back to the kitchen, is the oven. And ovens come in all kinds of shapes and sizes these days,
Right.
and in the past. And so people are looking at the capacity of the oven, the features of the oven. Is it even clean? As a minimum, make sure you're cleaning your oven. It's amazing how many people don't.
And ovens last a long time, and
They
I
do.
have seen some pretty old ovens and stoves, and they're working. But boy, I tell you, they are far from being modern.
That's right.
We'll keep it
And
there.
so it's something to think about. And again, is it a manageable, budgetable expense for a seller, maybe in the months ahead of thinking of listing their home?
Right.
And if the oven looks objectionable, that might be one, but it's certainly one that's on the mind of the home sellers in this survey.
Right.
The next one, again, probably not a surprise to me. It's outside the kitchen, but it is definitely an appliance you use on a routine basis, and that's the washing machine. Now, the washing machine, I mean, you can think about how well that's cleaned. The barrel of that washing machine
Right.
may or may not present well. And it's another consideration for people, whether you're leaving the washing machine or not. And
Right.
if you are leaving it, what shape is it in? Or does the buyer think they may need to go out and replace it?
Right. Sometimes I think that if it's really old and decrepit and scratched up and dirty, you might be better off just removing it altogether rather than having it there. And so if you're not going to replace it, at least, take that old thing out of there.
That's true. Yeah, that's another one. And that's one, too, that I think sometimes sellers don't realize. It may, again, be functioning. And so you leave it there. You list your house for sale. It's not unusual. It should be typical that the buyer is going to have a home inspection.
Right.
Please realize that the home inspector will run a cycle in that dishwasher we talked about, in this washing machine, and they will make sure that it goes through all of its paces, not
Right.
just that it physically looks okay when you walk by it,
Right.
But those systems are going to be tested by the inspector. So that's another reason that if you know that there are either cycles that don't work or something that's not right about it when it's in operation, that will get uncovered.
It
and
will.
how unfortunate if you came to a great sales agreement with a buyer
Right.
and somewhere in the next 15 days they have an inspection, but your home's been off the market for those 10 or 15 days.
Right.
You have some kind of an issue around an appliance like that. In essence, you're back to renegotiating, either to correct it now because
Right.
it's been identified as an issue, or a buyer, with a major defect
Major.
may have second thoughts about that contract,
Right.
and it doesn't put you in a great position as a seller. Time has gone by.
Right.
You have to renegotiate, and gosh, if you ever lost a buyer, you have to disclose
Right.
or fix it anyway.
Exactly.
And again, it just sets you back. So
Sure.
I think a lot of this is about being proactive, and the concept from the survey about what can either neutralize or increase the value of your home, and
Right.
these are some considerations. Now, there is one more, and again, it's back to the kitchen
Right.
that made the list. How many appliances are left? Maybe by process of elimination, it's the refrigerator.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it as high on the list, and I wonder
Which
why.
to me was
but-
a little surprising, but okay.
right. But again, those refrigerators come in all shapes and sizes, with different kinds of capacities or even features these days.
Right.
About the maybe external water and ice feature or
Right.
something like that today's buyers are looking for.
Right.
And it may be that a refrigerator lasted a long time but doesn't match something you upgraded in the kitchen
Right.
otherwise. And having those appliances look modern, maybe move to stainless. People seem to like that in this market
Right.
still. It's something to think about.
It is. And obviously, if it's not functioning, everybody wants an ice maker. If the ice maker isn't functioning, trust me, it doesn't work when you go out to the store, out to Publix, gets a bag of ice, put it in the ice tray, thinking that that's gonna float, because it's not. That's going to get uncovered, and now you're going to have to, like what Terry was saying, you're going to have to go through and renegotiate it, and people are going to say, well, geez, they knew about that, and now what? So
Right. So if you do have anything that's not functioning correctly, it is best to disclose it and or get ahead of it by upgrading
Fixing
or
it.
replacing or
Right.
fixing that appliance or system in your home. And in the perception of the home sellers in this survey, interestingly, and I don't know what they really based it on other than their own experience, they felt that doing some of the things on this list, not necessarily all of them, but the ones that are needed, could help them increase their home value by up to 14%. So that's based on their impression. I don't have a data source to kind of back that up, but it's interesting to think about, again, that there's some tangible value that people assess when they kind of look at appliances and think, do I have to replace all the appliances in the kitchen? Cha-ching, is that a $7,000 bill or a $10,000 bill?
Right.
If it's the big items like the water heaters and the air conditioners, what am I out? And so it could, depending on the price of your home, have a $10,000+ impact
for all the kitchen
costs.
appliances for sure. And again, like what we always have told our sellers is that you want to try to remove all of the objections that you can, so that when a buyer comes in there, they're looking at all the positives and not the negatives.
Right. And the other balance to that is sometimes people know they have functioning systems, but they're getting a little bit dated. They may, in their listing agreement, agree to give a credit to the buyer, so the buyer can pick out perhaps that new appliance that they like, rather than the seller making the choice and the buyer wishing it was something else.
Right.
Or they may take that into consideration in the price and make it really clear. We know you're going to want to update the kitchen appliances. We've priced it accordingly relative to the comps. And an honest conversation with your own agent and with buyer's agents who are bringing people in to see the home kind of are all part of that communication to make sure that there's good transparency and an understanding of value and how that value is being assessed by both parties.
Absolutely.
So that's where the survey brings us. Those were the top appliances and systems. To recap, it was the air conditioner, number one, the dishwasher, the water heater, the oven, the washing machine, and the fridge.
Right.
So all the things that are on buyers' minds when they come in to look at your home.
To keep the house working.
Absolutely. So if you found some value in this conversation as you're getting ready and thinking about selling your home, and if you're a home buyer, as you're thinking about things to keep an eye out for when you go viewing homes, please do give this video a thumbs up. We really appreciate it. And if you haven't had a chance yet, please subscribe to the channel. It is totally free. It's a good value right there.
It is, yep.
And turn on notifications.
Turn on those notifications.
And why would somebody do that?
Well, because, when Terry gives her award-winning monthly updates on what's going on in the market, you're going to know about it before everybody else.
And we're out here routinely bringing you updates from the local market, and you don't want to miss out on what's trending up, what's pulling back, how the market and housing conditions are changing, the impact of interest rates, what's happening with new construction. All of those things are going to keep coming up in episodes on this channel. And when you turn on notifications, as Rich said, you'll be among the first to know that that new information is available, and it can help inform the decision that you want to make. We greatly appreciate you subscribing and giving this a thumbs up. And if you do have both either a buying or a selling need, please reach out to us. Our information is all listed below in the description to this video, and we look forward to reaching out to you to make your next home purchase or sale a very productive one in Southwest Florida. Look forward to talking to you soon. Now, there are more considerations, so don't forget, look at the video in the upper right-hand corner before you go.
Bye now.